The U.S. is seeing a boom in new small businesses, despite all of the economic and healthcare challenges the country has faced over the past year. New details from the National Bureau of Economic Research reveal major gains in 2020. The number of new business applications soared to a record high, even as coronavirus restrictions intensified. So John Haltiwanger helped to conduct the latest research. He's a professor in the economics department at the University of Maryland, and he's with me now to talk more about this. John, thank you so much for joining us. When I started to read a little bit of background information on this, initially, I did kind of think, well, I suppose it's not surprising. A lot of people were home. If they ever had an idea for a small business in the back of their head, they may have had the time or the leeway now to do the research, start things up, particularly if it was kind of like based online. But then I also thought, man, there's a ton of uncertainty, and you really have to be truly optimistic to start a small business, because a lot of them, they don't survive. So tell me the significance of the surge in new business applications amid the pandemic.
Well, it's been remarkable. We were surprised by the surge. Early in the pandemic, in April and May, we saw a decline in new business applications, and it was similar to what we saw in the Great Recession. And we thought, well, here we go again. And then starting around June, it started to surge, and it was phenomenally high last summer. And I think actually last summer's applications kind of fit your bill. Lots of time on our hands and so on. What's remarkable is as we moved through 2020 and into 2021, they surged again in 2021. So I think it's like we're seeing actually a second wave as we come out of the pandemic. So the second highest month on record after July last year is actually May 2021.
Oh, that's so interesting. Certainly the pandemic changed the way companies do business. Many companies had to sort of adapt to working from home. How has the ability to work remotely impacted the small business space?
Well, I think there's increasing evidence that the new normal is going to involve lots more remote activity. That's been going on in retail trade for a while, e-commerce and the like. But I think we've learned in the last year we can do a remarkable amount remotely. So I think the existing businesses, small and large, that have figured out ways to do things remotely, those are the ones that have been successful. And I think this has opened opportunities for new businesses to come in. We see them come in exactly in the places you'd expect, given the kind of restructuring that's going on in the U.S. economy.
Yeah, when I think of kind of some of the people that I know that have started small businesses over this period of time, part of their motivation was they were able to work remotely at their regular job, and so they maybe relocated to an environment that they always wanted to live in, something beautiful but out of the way, and thought, I don't know if I want to go back. Maybe I can figure out a way to make money from where I am right now so I don't have to go back to working in the office wherever they were. And so they develop a whole sort of strategy around a small business based on that, to continue the lifestyle that they're already living. The other sort of thing that was different about this period versus maybe other periods where people found themselves being laid off, or the recession, is that there was the Paycheck Protection Program. So there was money coming in. Can you talk about the impact of that as well?
Well, in terms of the impact of the PPP program on new business, it's kind of mixed. On the one hand, you're exactly right. Dollars were flowing in. And so an other aspect of the CARES Act, the supplement to people's incomes and so on, enabled individuals who potentially were thinking about starting up a business if they receive such resources, that's going to facilitate that. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the PPP program was not for new businesses. It was for existing businesses. So actually, it's possible that it stifled some of the new business activity. You might say the surge in new business activity is in part in spite of the surge, in spite of the PPP program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said that there was one spike, and now it seems like we're seeing another spike as we're emerging from the pandemic. So I guess what I'm asking for is sort of looking forward now. to the trends as we kind of look past the pandemic, trends that may have been springboarded by this bizarre year and a half that we've all had, that you see continuing moving forward when we talk about small businesses?
Well, again, I think there's increased evidence that the way the U.S. economy is going to work is going to be different. You hinted at this before. Where the daytime population is going to be working is going to be very different in the coming years. It's very different right now, and sure, we're going to increasingly go back to some sort of hybrid activity, but the location of where individuals are at least spending an important fraction of their time has changed, and this offers all kinds of opportunities for new businesses, innovation, productivity growth, and actually job creation. So I'm actually cautiously optimistic that the U.S. economy is going to come surging out of this pandemic, and it's going to be a recovery that's very much a restructuring recovery. We need to move to this new normal, and startups are going to play a critical role in this restructuring.
John, before I let you go, let me ask you this. What does this mean, though, with surge in small businesses? What does this mean for employment? Because I get the sense that a lot of these small businesses that were able to start during the pandemic when we were all at home are sort of online things. You know, maybe you get an order and then you mail it out. There's no reason for physical interaction. And they don't seem like the types of businesses that would require large staffs. So, you know, what's your take on what this small business boom means for employment?
So for that question, we need to think about kind of what we've seen in the past. And you're exactly right. Most new employer businesses actually don't survive, and many and the remainder don't necessarily grow. But a remarkable thing about the U.S. economy is when we have a surge in startups, it's a small fraction grow really rapidly. And do we know, do we have a crystal ball? By the way, if we did, we'd all be investing in them, of course. We have a crystal ball exactly which businesses are going to be the next superstar businesses. The answer is we don't, but it's a very healthy sign when we see a surge in startups. The last time we really have seen a surge in startups like this was the 1990s, which is a period of tremendous growth. So again, you're exactly right that most of these new businesses aren't going to be huge job creators. But historically, the small fraction of very fast-growing businesses that survive create lots of jobs, play a critical role in both job creation, innovation, and productivity growth.
All right. Well, something to look forward to, something to feel positive about. John Haltiwanger, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.